The humans are singing again. You hear that? Coming up from the medical bay vents? That sound I've been dreading for 3 rotations. Last time I heard humans sing like that, I watched 23 soldiers carry a corpse through hell and call it a rescue mission. My breathing apparatus fogs over. The air tastes of copper and ozone. Not just blood, burned neural tissue. My secondary hearts stop entirely. Fear response my species developed. When we can't understand a threat, we prepare for complete system shutdown. Medical Officer Thane. That's me. I need to tell you something about humans before you serve alongside them. Before you make my mistake. Before you assume death means the same thing to them as it does to us. The elevator moves, coming up from the deep mines of Epsilon Ridge. My scanner shows 24 heartbeats in that shaft. Only 23 humans went down. Would you like to know whose heartbeat that is? 18 hours ago, Private Morrison fell into the collapsed mine shaft during enemy bombardment. Standard evacuation protocols. Save who you can, abandon the rest. Mathematics. Captain Harrison stood before Allied command. We're going after Morrison. Commander Vector pulled up probability matrices. Unacceptable losses. 23 soldiers to retrieve 1 casualty with a 12% survival probability. Harrison never looked at the numbers. His voice carried something my species lacks words for. Humans call it honor. We don't leave our own. Should have been my warning. Would you like to know why it wasn't? My scanner detected Morrison's biosignature, flatlined within the first hour. The humans knew. Their neural links shared everything. Death, pain, the exact moment their comrade's heart stopped beating in that shaft. They kept going. They kept going because they're human. Because humans don't leave their own, ever. 300 enemy heat signatures converged, like antibodies attacking an infection. The tactical display looked like pending slaughter. Our equipment died. Total blackout. Enemy jamming so thick the deep mines vanished from reality. The remaining humans went silent. 6 hours they sat without speaking. Not grieving, not panicking, waiting. Their neural activity spiked in patterns I'd never seen. Like they were listening to something only they could hear. My medical alert activated. Something was wrong with the humans in Bay 7. Something was very wrong. Every species evacuated except the humans. They refused direct orders, refused forced extraction. They knew something was coming back up that elevator shaft. They knew. I should have realized what that meant. The singing started soft. 1 voice, then 23, then hundreds. My scanner showed only the humans on the station. Where were the other voices coming from? Going home. Human burial hymn. Wrong though. Too slow, too deep, like words being dragged up from the bottom of an ocean. My species has 47 words for different types of tactical efficiency. Nothing translates to dying for a principle. The elevator shaft readings went haywire. Impossible weight loads. Biometric spikes that should have killed them. Adrenaline concentrations that would shut down most nervous systems. Hull plates screamed under bombardment. Red emergency lighting painted everything the color of an open wound. That singing got closer, louder, harmonizing with voices that couldn't exist. My breathing apparatus cycled frantically. The air coming up from the mines was too warm, like something massive was breathing down there. Warning alerts cascaded across my console. Unauthorized biological readings detected. Quarantine protocols recommended. The elevator doors opened. Would you like to know what came out? They returned, all 23. Plus, Morrison on a stretcher. But when Sergeant Williams grabbed my scanner, his hands left wet prints. Not sweat. Something thicker that moved wrong when I analyzed it biological markers from 17 different species. My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the scanner. Whatever had come back up in that elevator, I had to know if it was still human. The rescue team stood in perfect formation, humming fragments of that burial hymn. Their eyes were open, focused, but they weren't seeing the medical bay. They were seeing something that was still down there in the tunnels. I ran diagnostics on Morrison. My scanner's display made no sense. Cellular activity ceased 16 hours ago. Body temperature, room ambient. Neural activity, 0. He was dead. had been dead since before they found him. I approached Williams, my translator struggling with the words. "Sergeant, Morrison didn't make it. He's been—" "Morrison's still down there?" Williams whispered, his voice cracked and raw. "Can you hear him calling? He's been calling for 18 hours. I checked my scanner again." Morrison's biosignature flatlined. "Sergeant," I said carefully, "Morrison is still down there." Each word like a nail being driven into metal. "And we don't leave our own." Williams looked at me with eyes that had seen something beyond death. In that moment, I realized they hadn't come back to save Morrison. They'd come back to prove that death couldn't make one of their own expendable. My scanner detected something impossible then. Morrison's hand still warm after 16 hours of being dead. That's when I understood. The 23 humans who went down had encountered over 400 hostiles in a defensive network that should have been impregnable. The combat recordings showed things that violated physics humans, moving through weapons fire, absorbing damage that should have liquefied organs, fighting with broken bones and punctured lungs, and singing. Always singing. I tried to access Williams's neural link for diagnostic interface. Just for a fraction of a second, I saw what he'd seen in the tunnels. Morrison had been screaming when they found him. Not from pain, he was already dead, but in their minds, through their shared consciousness, he was still calling for help, still demanding they keep their promise. Every human in the galaxy was watching through military neural links. If these 23 had accepted that Morrison was expendable, every human soldier everywhere would know they could be next. So they chose to rewrite the rules of death itself. The enemy forces they encountered, they didn't just defeat them. They made them afraid. Made them understand that humans don't calculate acceptable losses. By the time the rescue team reached Morrison's body, the surviving hostiles were fleeing deeper into the tunnels, transmitting warnings about the singing dead. My breathing apparatus struggled to process the implications. This wasn't just about one soldier. This was about a species that had decided certain things were more important than biological limitations. The 23 humans who returned were psychologically shattered. They'd seen what they could become when pushed beyond rational limits. The singing wasn't triumph. It was mourning for what they'd had to sacrifice to keep their promise. Morrison's hand was still warm. Command ordered me to classify the mission as tactical success. File Morrison as Kia. Note minor injuries for the rescue team. Move on. Standard paperwork. I'd seen their medical readings. I knew what they'd become down there. And I had to decide whether to report that humanity had evolved past the need for sanity, or protect the galaxy from that knowledge. I filed Morrison as Kia. Listed the 23 as suffering minor combat trauma. Standard military documentation. Never reported the real discovery. Humans don't accept losses, they absorb them, they carry them. They sing them back to life when necessary. My neural damage happened when I tried to process the impossible. My cognitive processors couldn't handle a species willing to drag the dead back from beyond rather than admit they'd been abandoned. I've served alongside 17 different species. I understand their motivations, their tactical doctrines, their biological limitations. Humans operate on principles that transcend biology. They've decided that certain promises are more important than the laws of physics. When you ask me why humans violate evacuation protocols, why they ignore direct orders, why they make decisions that destroy tactical logic, it's because they're not following our protocols. They're following something deeper. Morrison died 16 hours before they found him. When they pulled his body out of that elevator, his hand was still warm. I never figured out how. I never wanted to know how. Sometimes, late in my sleep cycle, I wonder, what if they didn't bring Morrison back? What if Morrison brought them back? The humans are singing again. This time I think I recognize the voice leading the hymn. My scanner just activated. Something's coming up from the medical bay. 24 heartbeats. There are only 23 humans on this station. You want to know whose heartbeat that is? You want to know why humans never really leave their own behind? The elevator doors are opening.